Hey everybody, welcome back to Tavern Talks, episode 189 tonight. And tonight, if you haven't figured out anything of what's happening this week, we have been surrounded with the incredible work of Shadow Dark. We started last night with joining the launch party for Bunny and Zane as they launch Druscara, and now we're jumping straight into two additional Kickstarters that have launched this week. One launching tonight, or has launched today. So yeah,
Congratulations.
congratulations, Bill.
Thank you.
So we're going to kind of spin this similar to our normal style, which of course is 3 parts. We're going to do 30 minutes where we talk about the books that they're writing. We talk about how they got into this kind of thing, what their backgrounds are, things like that. Then the monster, of course, is going to arrive. We're going to talk monsters. And since they've got brand new Kickstarters, we're hopefully going to get monsters from the Kickstarters, because what better way to showcase this stuff than hear about what's going on over there. And then the last 30 minutes, of course, is what we call happy hour, which is where the audience, if there's anybody in the audience at the time, they're going to drop those questions in there, anything they want to know about any of our 2 guests or myself and Jacob. But our goal is to just point it towards the guests, and we don't have to talk as much. It's awesome. But yeah, so real quick, before we jump into some questions, give us just a quick rundown. We'll start with Bill, since he is the guest of honor for the evening, and then we have our special guest on top of it. So, Bill, what is Crawl Club?
All right. So Crawl Club Publishing is officially and legally it's me, but because I set up the LLC, but really it's myself and 3 core artists, as well as a few other artists that I work with, and then my editors, Wayne and Lori Brecky. But really, Crawl Club Publishing and the Crawl Club is everybody who's a fan of our books. We just say, hey, you're the part of the Crawl Club now. It's official. You're one of us, But Crawl Club Publishing is a small publisher. I'm based here in Omaha, Nebraska, but our artists, our main artist, Andrew Beckwith, he is from Canada, and he's up there in Nova Scotia. And then Uriah is in Australia, on Tasmania. So, and then we've also got Dwayne, and he's over in Indiana. So, but
Awesome.
so we're just making fun books. We're on our 4th volume of Righteous Vow, and we've done a sci-fi book called Shadow Crawler Carnage that James wrote a really awesome adventure for. So
It's a fun little adventure for sure.
And we're just having fun making stuff, and as long as I can pay the taxes and break even, we're all good, right?
It's funny you say that, because it's something we were talking about earlier. It's like, what do you do this for? This is just a passion project, right? Like, if I make a couple extra bucks off of it, great, but it's nothing I'm actually looking forward to. I'm looking at getting cool stuff out to people. And this show kind of became that beacon for a lot of people. It was an opportunity for us to highlight all the amazing things that are happening in the community, because we all know that marketing is extremely expensive, and how can we help each other than to just tell everybody what the cool opportunities are out there. And then finding Shadow Dark last year made that so much bigger, because it was such a small publisher at the time, though it wasn't small, but it was. And then now the third-party community took over, and it's just awesome. I love it, every little thing about it. So so then our secret guest, Jeff, what is going on over there at Torchlight Games?
Torchlight Games. We right now have our debut project, a debut book called Titanbound, which is over on BackerKit. We're about just under halfway through the campaign. I just want to thank you guys for having us on. It's so nice to meet all of you, and I'm really so excited by the response. This is I'm a first time solo publisher. I should say that. I do have a pretty extensive background in the games industry, and have worked on various tabletop games and a lot of board games throughout my career. I took an interesting path to get here. I'm actually originally from the entertainment world, so I've produced a few hundred hours of TV shows and worked on the executive side, and I was always just huge into games because I'm definitely like a fluff guy. Like I just get source books. I have too many that I haven't played, but I just love to read about the worlds and all the creativity that goes into them. And board games are the same way, that I sit down and they tell me a story. And I've never been like a super like crunchy player, and that kind of led me to wonder if they could become movies and TV shows, and that kind of started my journey. And then I went fully over to the hobby space, and it's something I've never looked back on. And this has been a project that Titanbound is the project that I've thought about for like 2 decades. There was one that came out that like I thought was going to scratch the itch, and it kickstarted in 2019, and I don't want to name it, but they just never delivered. So it's one of the very few bad, I would say, undelivered projects I've ever backed. But and at some point, what happened with me was that when I was introduced to Shadow Dark by my DM and well, I guess he's technically GM now. He gave it to me. He said, "Listen," and I'm going to quote him, and I steal his line all the time, but he said, "This is what I wish 5e was." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." So we sat down on the first night. I mean, we're playing in 5 minutes. I was able to create 4 characters because everything's familiar but so streamlined and so specific. And as I'm sure anyone here knows, like who's written for Shadow Dark, you write everything as slimly as you can, and then cut that in half because every single word matters. Every word is important on the page because the format of this, I think, is so important to like stick to because it just enhances the experience at every level. And so in my head, at least after I played Shadow Dark, it was just struck with lightning. I felt like I could see exactly how I could scale walking, living dungeons that are the size of mountains, these titans, and bring them down and hopefully give the sense, kind of like a Shadow of the Colossus mixed with Godzilla, but also mixed with I use Transformers as an example, like in the animated movie when they're inside Unicron exploring, and there's all these different secrets and weird stuff going on in there. And so that was kind of the goal, is to make a setting agnostic, very modular version of this, where people could pluck the stuff they want, whether it's they could take a Titan into their long running campaign, they could run an epic night, they can do whatever they want to with it. And the same goes for the cities in it, which is very much the other half of the book. Because what's Godzilla without Tokyo to destroy? So I think a big part of the book is finding cities to destroy. And shout out to Skara and Bunny and Zane over there have been so generous with us. We've just started kind of doing these little collaborations, and they keep growing. And one of the things that we're doing right now is they're letting us do the first Titanbound zine called Stomping Grounds. And it's called Juskara Under Siege. So they're letting me adapt their cities they've created. And they have the same philosophy that I do, of making the cities very memorable and different and epic. And we're adapting those to have the Titan rules. So basically the way I pitched it to them, I said, "Listen, how about this? We do a zine about destroying all of your cities." But they were into the idea, thankfully.
I'm in awe. Like, I'm so psyched. Oh my goodness.
Sounds awesome. And that what's funny about that is that we were talking before the show started about John Gwynn's book, or his book series, the trilogy of the Bloodsworn trilogy. Mm-hmm. You need to check that out because there's something massive about that book series, and there might be massive dragons and creatures fighting each other in that book series, and it's one of the things that drew me to it. There's actually, I don't want to give too much away, but I will tell you that there is a city that is built underneath the skeletal remains of a large creature. So
we have one of those too. I'm so I love seeing those examples. Just halfway through Dev on this, I read John Scalzi wrote a book called it's the Kaiju Preservation Society, and he has this part of so it's basically a bunch of Godzillas, but they have entire ecosystems of monsters on them. And I was like Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like looking at it like, oh, I'm doing that too, because that's kind of the idea, is that these things are my Titans. I don't know how big that skeleton is, but my Titans are up to a mile high. Nice. Really minimum 800 to 1200 feet, something like that for like the lower level ones. But they get into, you are half a mile up, hanging on for dear life, and they're big enough to have entire like symbiotic relationships with creatures and things like that. And I don't want to spoil the finale of Stranger Things, but that was another one where I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, and I was like, we're doing that. So I just felt in the air.
Yeah. Nice. Dude, this is like Attack on Titan all over again. Like you can legitimately have that stuff happen. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, going back to Shadow Dark, which I've never met her, but I can't thank Kelsey enough for creating such an awesome chassis that, and also with Dungeon Damsel, because they were the first, I think, big hit third party, but it showed that wow, third parties can come out with these amazing quality products that are well designed, that look great, and that I think fulfill a need to get pretty weird with your classes, and they've Juskar I think's next level. So that was a huge influence on me for tackling this and thinking, all right, let me see how I can do this. And I learned from reading that book and other third-party material that Shadow Dark is robust. It's streamlined, but like every time, like with the climbing aspects of it, I wanted to figure out how to make climbing more streamlined, because you're doing it by 300 feet at a time, and you don't want to roll 27 times to go 8 feet what is it, 10 feet per foot. And so I developed kind of a little system, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's already taken care of, and this is just analogous. So it ended up like maybe a little mini system, I'll call it, of like 6 rules became like 1 roll. And it really inspires you to like really think about, is this already being done in another way? And if it is, how can you just incorporate that thing that exists into what you're doing? So it's just a wonderful, wonderful toolbox.
Absolutely. And when you do get to meet Kelsey, she is as advertised. She's a sweetheart. Her and Jesse.
Love to hear that.
Wonderful people.
Yeah.
In fact, it was funny because I walked up to Kelsey the first time I met her, and she's like, "Oh, you're Bill," and then Jesse, she's like, "Oh, I love your books and your artwork. Your artists are great." And man, they're just like the kindest people.
Nice.
And they really appreciate their third-party community, and I mean, it shows. I mean, just the way that their third-party license works, it's so easy to get out there and start creating with it. And as long as you're not trying to like replicate exactly what they're doing, they usually are fully on board supporting you. And then also Michael Putlock, he's amazing too. So, and I
have communicated with him, and he's been nothing but kind. Like really, really generous with time and things like that. And I'm forever grateful. Can I ask? I want to hear about some Righteous Vow, because I think Volume 2 is a masterpiece.
Well, thank you.
I'm so sorry I haven't been able to go through Volume 3, but I congratulations. I didn't know it was launching. I've been so focused on the campaign, but I am now an official backer. I'll tell you my backer number proof. But congratulations, man.
Thanks. Totally. Yeah. We launched today, so really, really stoked to. It looks like we hit our goal, so I'm excited about that. And
Yes.
everything else is just gravy now. So there you go. No, we're doing Volume 4. I'm really excited to bring Black Masks and Magic, which is our pirate-themed volume of Righteous Vow. And the idea with Righteous Vow 4 is to provide everything you need to play a pirate-themed campaign in Shadow Dark. So it's got all the rules, it's got all the ship layouts, hand-drawn, by the way, all the islands, hand-drawn. So you're going to get a hex crawl map that has, I think there's like 7 or 8 islands on the actual map itself. But some of those islands are there, and it gives you some details of what you could do there. And then the GM can go and run with that if they want to plug some of their own creativity into it. But there's 5 islands, and each island has its own adventure with it. And then it's also got an overarching story and adventure with goals. And it's got hooks. So that way your characters know, why am I here? What am I doing? The main goal, and then it's got a timeline of destruction attached to it. So there's actually a timeline where the big bad is going to send people after you to try and recover these artifacts that need to be destroyed, so it doesn't bring back a demon. So, but that's kind of the short version of the story. You'll have to actually dive into it and check it out if you want to know what's going on, because I don't want to spoil the whole thing to you. but
Man,
yeah, there's lots of great stuff in there.
I got the hardbacks. We were talking right before the show about our obsession with hardbacks and deluxe versions. So, like, I am going. That's the one I have because I have PDFs. PDFs of volume 1 and 2.
Perfect.
And then so happy for the upgrade.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. That was the fun thing. I was just on Tankar's Tavern before this, and they said they all bought the hardback bundle, and they're like, "You got all 3 of us in the same live stream," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." And they're like, "That never happens," and I'm just like, "Okay, well then I can brag about that now, I guess." I don't know.
Right.
It was pretty fun to hear, and I think that's the thing that I love about it is, we have our costs that we need to produce the things, but I've always there it is, but I always try to make everything affordable. I don't want to charge you like a ridiculous amount, and then we like to give discounts on bundles to make it affordable for everybody. I don't want to I know it's hard too because I back everything. You can look at my Kickstarter backer count and you can see I'm backing these things, and
left and right now.
Sometimes we joke, right? The only reason that we're writing is to sell books to be able to afford everybody else's Kickstarters, right? So
we're just selling to each other, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's a lot of fun being a part of this and getting to be creative and put out a new adventure. One thing that I really tried to do with this next book was I really wanted to up the production and up just my contribution as a layout designer. In the previous books, I just kind of stuck to that. Hey, this is kind of like what Kelsey's doing. I don't want to copy her exactly. I want to put our own flavor on it. But this time I'm really kind of taking that designer role on. And, I went to Adobe Max in Miami a couple of years ago, and I got to just dive into InDesign quite a bit because I'm a video editor and I do that for my day job. And so what I like to do is learn new tools, and I'm a huge Adobe fan, and just diving into InDesign and learning new ways to use InDesign to get creative with it. I really enjoy doing layout, and I'm hoping that everybody enjoys the way this one's going to turn out, because I wanted to up the wow factor with that. Just like all of our books, all the art is original. That's why we don't have a small $200, $300, even $2,000 funding goal. This was $8,000 because I said, hey, I'm paying my artists here. I'm paying everybody. This costs something to do. I'm not going to lie to you. This is what we need to make this happen. But we got there, and I'm really excited to see where this goes because it's day one. And if you back it in the first 48 hours, you get that awesome skeleton pirate captain holographic sticker. So
nice.
There you go.
Awesome.
I'll take it. What do you think? What do you feel like it? Because I think that it's definitely true that Shadow Dark Third Party has really exploded in a way that I haven't seen, and I think it's just been encouraged. And so, for me, I want to ask you first though, what do you think the biggest challenge is right now in when you were designing this? What do you think the biggest challenges you faced doing it for Shadow Dark?
Well, here's the thing: is the way I feel about it right now is there are people that get upset at each other. They're like, "That was my idea. I was gonna do that," and I'm just like, you know what? All you got to do, there's so many I love Pirate Board. Next week while I'm at GaryCon, I'm in 3 or 4 Pirate Board games. They're doing pirates already. I've just got to do my version of pirates and make it good, so that way hopefully people love it. So I think the biggest challenge is just create something that's great that people are going to love, that they feel like, okay, this is only $25 and I've got a, and I still love triggering people with that because I call them zines, but they're like 160 some pages. And everybody's like,
Yes.
that's not a zine, Bill. And I'm like, yeah, it is, because I put it on the cover. See, but yeah, just create something that's original and you. And if it's good and people enjoy it, you'll have no problems, even if it's not. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. We're just here playing Tolkien, right? So
Yeah, right.
but yeah, I think that as long as you create something that people will enjoy and they buy it and then they're like, wow, I got that value out of it. I feel like, man, I got more than what I paid out of this. That's awesome, and hopefully they'll come back and get the next one. So
Yeah, I have the same philosophy. You've got a ton of experience going out on your own, and I think people have come to trust you and your company and the brand, and that's something that I had in mind is kind of the same philosophy. Like if I could potentially pay for this one, because I'm also doing no AI art, it's all real artists, and they've been amazing and they've been quick. Working with map makers, and because the cities really need to have their personality, and you need to be able to see where the different districts are in each city, because it's district-based defense basically. When the Titans attack, and Titans do roll a d20 when they attack, by the way, like not to hit, but for damage.
No, they literally just you throw the d20 at the or like at the map, and like this is where it blows up.
Correct. And like if I can do, if I can cover this one and the next one, like that's what I want to do, because I want to be able to deliver quickly and hopefully come out with another idea later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I had this is the other thing about me. I'm totally ADD all over the place. So I have an idea of what I'm going to say next, and then it's out the window. But there was something that I was going to ask you, because it was oh yeah. You had Matt Morrow do some of your art, right? No, he didn't. Oh, I thought Matt was there. Never mind.
Okay. Wait, does he go by another name though?
No, it's usually Matt Morrow. He's done some of my stuff. He does work for Kelsey. He did some of the Dungeon Damsel stuff, but I thought he was in your book.
I will definitely look him up. I haven't met him.
He's brilliant.
I'm actually
speaking of Dungeon Damsels who just slid into chat. Yeah, hopefully they're feeling well and not and getting some sleep.
I do hope they slept for 24 hours.
Yeah, me too.
Get some sleep, guys. We need your energy for GaryCon next week. We're all gonna hang out.
They should come in and ask interesting questions before sleep. Let's put it to work.
Oh yeah. So the first three questions we always ask, and I think Bill's had these questions before. We'll go through them real quick. But what was your first experience with TTRPGs? Because this kind of brings us the understanding of where all this comes from. Because if your first experience was either really bad or really good, usually that's why we get into these things. So. Bill, since you are the guest of the night, we'll start with you.
All right. So you want to know how I got into it? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on another tab to paste this into here like you asked, and then you're like, Bill, go.
Oh, I grabbed yours. I got yours already. Surprisingly.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
I could get into your I got into your Discord, so I just snagged it from there.
Perfect.
Jeff, if you want to drop in your Kickstarter in the
sure.
Yeah, I think his is a backer kit. I just went on there, so
backer kit or Kickstarter, they're the same thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, mine's on
just so we can drop them. Just so we can drop the project in the chat room.
Nice. Killing it, by the way. Congrats on 41,000.
Thank you so much. It's it's really nice to see a positive reaction, because doing these things, as I've worked on so many campaigns, but I had amazing teams. And I was just a small part of them, whereas this one is a solo effort. So not the art and design and all the things that so many other people do, but I mean in terms of the actual campaign, like typing the words and doing all the links.
I hear that. I can relate to that, because when I have my artists, but when it's the writing, if somebody has something negative to say about it, it's like, oh no, that means I suck. No,
yes.
No, that's me.
Oh man, and how much do typos eat at your skull? Like you see something, you're like, I can't believe I released that, and
it's in print, and I can't change it.
That's
all right. Usually, the good thing is the the grace that is given by this Shadow Dark community, man. I'll tell you what, they're so positive and it's awesome. And some you just get to laugh about it a little bit. There's a couple typos in my first volumes, you know, and you know, you just go do a revised version in the next print. So
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but yeah, anyway, back to the question. How did I get into RPGs? I think it was, right?
Yep.
And I was at Boy Scout camp.
Okay.
And one of the kids brought the black AD&D box set with the red dragon on it.
Yep.
And we set it up and punched out all the cardboard, and we played it completely wrong.
Of course.
None of the rules were not even close. But we had a lot of fun, and we technically played a version of D&D. So
yeah.
and then after that, it was just, you know, off to the races. But I really played a lot of third and then fifth quite a bit, and then got really tired of bonus actions. Bonus actions and dark vision, I think I could live without for the rest of my life, and I'm happy. But, you know,
yes, totally agree.
Two things.
I think it's funny you say that. And before I continue on that, I'll have Jeff. So, what about yours? What was your first experience?
Honestly, it's gonna sound so lame, but it's pretty much the exact same experience. It was the black box, red dragon, and the starter set that was mid anyway, whenever mid 80s, whatever that was. And there's one other person in the small town I grew up with who was interested in, and he bought it. His parents bought it for him, and we did the same thing. We played it wrong, and then after that I got really into just like I bought the Forgotten Realms box set because I just got into the world, the Dark Sun box set, and then I read my first fantasy novel series I ever read was Dragonlance, the Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman Dragonlance, and those Larry Elmore covers, those things are so ingrained in my memory and like who I am that they fuse themselves. So that's why I think I always lean toward the storytelling aspects of the games.
Yeah, I think it's funny because this makes, without like being a little bit cliche about it, but it makes sense of why Shadow Dark works for you guys, because neither one of you played Dungeons and Dragons right the first time, and you're like, oh yeah. But it's because there were so many darn rules, and it's like Shadow Dark, I can literally roll a character up in less than 10 minutes and be playing and rolling dice immediately. That's the one thing I loved about it. Teaching my son Dungeons and Dragons took forever, and then one day I was like, hey, we're switching to Shadow Dark, and he's like, Dad, I don't want it. I already learned something. I was like, no, just try it. Within minutes, he was like, this is so much easier. I was like, yeah, I know. This is why we play it. And we have a huge table too, because we play with 9 players. You can't do that.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't do that with Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a long game. Yeah, exactly.
But we do it all in Shadow Dark.
You'll get through 2 rooms if you're lucky.
Yeah. And in Shadow Dark, we'll run a 3-hour game, and like everybody will actually get to do stuff and everything like that. Because, and now I will say though, my combat is extremely fast paced, and I tell people this because we got 9 players. Like, if I get to you and you aren't sure what your thing is, you were dazed and didn't know what you were doing, so we're moving on. Yep. We are a little friendlier to the kids, but the adults definitely get the challenge on those ones. Because yes, it's 9 players with 3 kids, so it's even more hectic than just a 9-player game. So
yeah, there's times with our FLGS games because our usual amount is about 8 players, but I've had 14 players at a table at the FLGS games. And I just got to the point where I'm like, all right, we're just going to use the group initiative and just do it that way. It's like, all right, because, like playing Osric, me and my son play in an Osric game together as well. And that group initiative works so well where it's like, both of you roll a d6, whoever wins, all right, shooting, melee, spells. Are you moving? Okay, now it's the bad guy's turn, And if anybody's doing anything crazy, we can get into it. I also have adopted for my public games that I do at the FLGSs I use the Gygax D6s. So in the early D&D games, it would say that you need to have a bag of like 40 to 60 D6s, and you get those little tiny D6s. And I just, instead of writing down, okay, this has this many hit points or this, I just set dice next to the mini, and that's how many hit points how much damage it has taken so far. And then that way I don't have to juggle all that, and it makes life easier. And that's straight from Gary, and it's like, oh yeah, thank you, that's brilliant.
Yeah, because I mean, for most monsters, you're not going to, especially in Shadow Dark, you're not going to really need anything more than even if you had to do a 100, you're only going to get not even half of that. So it's like, oh, here's a D10 or here's a D12. Okay, we'll just count down from the 12 and we'll be done.
Perfect.
So yeah.
And I count up. I do the damage to it.
Yeah,
that way
that's
the
what I
die
do
keeps
too.
going, and they don't know what the total is. You know?
Yep, that's what I do too. Awesome. Yeah, no, I think really the other two questions are kind of be null and void for this conversation that we're having, other than one, and that is what hooked you about tabletop games? Like, what most people say that you'll play the game or you'll play a video game and then you just kind of put it down and you move on to something else. What keeps you coming back?
Well, I can tell that one exactly, and I'll relate it to Shadow Dark. I mean, for me, I found a group where I live, and we've been playing together for like 20 years, and the long running campaigns, and for years and years and years with the same characters and everything like that, and I love that, right? But after having kids and having to call in, like, oh, I can't, it's hard for me to go. I eventually had to drop out temporarily from that, because when you have your third child, it's not very nice to leave the house. One person to take care of every night when there's a little baby. So and I just felt bad. It wasn't fair to them. It just wasn't fair to the game. And so I was able to fill in one night on Shadow Dark, and that's when, after the GM had brought it, he said he backed the original campaign and was super into it, and it just, my mind exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I have played a lot of different games, but like for role playing, like pretty dedicated to these characters where you're playing the same thing, but I love to try new stuff. And in one night I got to play like 5 different classes because I died a bunch, and it was 5 minutes. By the time it was my turn again, I had a new character, because if you have any 3E or 5E experience, everything's very familiar, I feel like. Dark, but it's you're, oh wait, there's no attack of opportunities. Oh wait, there's not all these, like, you're not there. You can wing it on a map and it's not as tactical, but it can be if you want it to be. So that was it. I was just like, oh my gosh, a game that I don't feel bad handing a character off to somebody. Like, if I used to hand on my D&D 10th level character, how do you play that? Like, you've been living with that for years. You're not, if you got all these, whoever's characters they know how to play them. There's just so many options. So that, for me, that's why I kept coming back, because I was able to see these stories, and it just really reignited, I think, a huge love of mine back in the RPGs.
Awesome. What about you, Bill?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, sorry, that was a super long answer.
No, I'm sorry. I'm kind of fading a little bit. I'm 44 years old, and I'm like over here. Sorry. Also, my ADD is kicking in. What was it again? I'm sorry.
No, what keeps you coming back?
I'm sorry. That's so bad. No, but for me, coming back to D&D, it's just, when you're 20 something years old, and I get it with your group of 20 people that that you're having a blast with. I like that a lot more than when I was in my 20s and my teens. You're there with your 40K army or your Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and you're like, I want to win this game, and I want to be the best, And now it's more like, I don't want somebody at the table who's not having a good time. I want everybody to have a smile on their face, even when everybody has a TPK. We're all laughing about it and going, "Oh man, that was epic!"
Yeah.
I had a gal and it's so funny how people who don't play these type of games will criticize it and say, "But what is the kid going to do when their character dies?" we had this gal. She's like 12, 13 years old, and we put her through what is it? The Wavestone Monolith, and I'll tell you what, she got murdered real bad. And she was smiling there with the stamp on her paper, and she's all like, "My character died. I get to make a new one," you know. And it's just it's awesome. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's having fun. And I just feel like it's better to have a collaborative good time than it is to like have somebody feeling great and then having somebody feeling bad. And I found in a lot of those instances when I used to play, you know, I won a couple Rogue Traders back in the day playing with my Blood Angels in 40K, and I had fun with it up until, what was it, 5th edition when they introduced flyers. It's like, come on, I'm gonna buy flyers now? No, but but it
Make me spend more money? God.
you win those games, and then you like sometimes you'd feel bad because you play a player that just didn't know, oh, you were supposed to go after this objective or that. And you know, maybe it's just because I have empathy and some people don't. I don't know, but I couldn't enjoy it. You know, it's like I want something where everybody gets to have fun and love the time we're spending together, because there's only so many moments you're going to have on this earth to spend with people and have quality time. Might as well make it the best use of that time you possibly can. And I feel like with RPGs, it's not only like therapeutic and something that just gets you excited about life and gets you away from the crap, you know, that's going on in this world. But it's also just something that you can enjoy and just plan on. I know that we're all going to have a great time, and it's just something you can look forward to. So I'm always going to come back to it.
Yeah, no, I can respect that completely, because I think for us, it's almost transcended just the table now, because our friends that we play with here at the house, like that's the group that we play with. Like there's nobody else. Like, you know, we make it an event. If we're doing something, we're all doing it together. We're all doing these things, and it's funny though, because everybody gets the same itch very fast though, because they're like, we're like, oh hey, we're gonna go do this cool thing this weekend, and then everybody's like, so are we playing next weekend then? Like everybody's asking the question, so everyone gets back around the table. So yeah, I can definitely respect that.
Well, and I liked what you said about like kind of like having the people know how to play the game and that you're going to help them along, because like that, and it makes me think about the other day, I haven't played Magic the Gathering in forever. and my coworker got a box set of them and goes, oh, let's play this. And I was like, are you going to like tell me like the updated rules, all this other stuff? And he goes, no, like what advantage? I have an advantage of you for not knowing it. I said, yeah, but now how are you going to have fun? Because now you have an empty victory. An empty victory.
Dude, I need to tell you, don't go play Magic. Here's what you need to do, okay? You know how Magic... All right, I'm going to sell you on a new game, so get ready. All right, and here's more money you don't need to spend. And it's totally not anything that I'm going to ever make any money on of, but I love this game, so I'm going to talk about it. So Magic the Gathering is like Ninja Turtle, which Ninja Turtles is great, but I miss the days of Magic when it was like sword and sorcery, like, you know, when I started playing like Revised and then like 4th edition and then like Ice Age in that era, and when in the 90s when I was like a kid, you know, I'd go down to the Dragon's Lair, ride there on my BMX and pick up some booster packs, you know. And we'd throw them in our bike spokes and make our bikes sound like motorcycles. And then we were like, holy crap, that card was worth how much money? But that's the Magic that I love, is like that old stayed in its lane. There weren't Transformers in it. There wasn't all these video game tie-ins.
Yeah.
I want to go and play Sword and Sorcery, right? So there's this game that is super cool called Sorcery, and that's the name of the TCG, and it's played on a grid, right? So you actually lay out your places, and then you get like minions, and you can play. I got hooked on it because you can play as a necromancer, and then you get like skeleton tokens, and you can move them around. Oh my god, it's so much fun. And it's just this card game that's like Magic, only it's got all that beautiful art from back in the day on it. Oh man. Yeah, once you look at Sorcery, you're going to be like, Bill, damn it.
Jacob's bad on that anyways. If you can't see his bookshelf, Jacob likes to buy
Don't
things.
look at my bookshelf.
There you go. Oh yeah. We're not even in my bookshelf room, and you can see all my board games and everything
Yeah.
else.
Hey, I mean, you can see part of them there, and
Well,
All
I've got
right.
more behind
Well,
me.
you know, this is the fun part about the tavern is that if you're in the chat room, you'll hear it. Yeah,
Oh,
the
there it
dragon
is.
has arrived. All right,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
So we're talking monsters tonight, and since we have 2 brand new Kickstarters out right now, we're gonna find out some monsters that are going on in the book because we need to know. So, Bill, since you're the guest of honor tonight, and yours dropped today, what is a monster in the book that you want to share tonight?
Oh man, I would love to talk about Balur, the sea hydra,
Ooh.
which is I think you can see a picture of him in the Kickstarter as well, and it's the artwork of the ship being attacked by the sea hydra coming out of the water with the 6 heads coming out of the water. But basically, it's kind of half squid, half hydra, and it comes up and like envelops ships. But there's rules in there for it has a special ability where it swallows people, and the only way, and it's kind of like that old school, you get inside the beast, and the only way to get out is to do enough damage to get him to spit you out, or in this case, if you cut off one of the heads, you can jump out the neck, you know. So so I'm really excited for that monster, and just the story behind that, because not to give too much away, but the sea hydra is actually controlled by a siren, and she calls him with her song, and when he shows up, it's bad news for anybody who's on one of the ships. So
Sounds like Balor needs to have a Titan version.
oh yeah.
That's how we do it. We
Yes,
collaborate
drop the
everybody
Titans.
together. Just have Titans and
That's
everything.
right.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that Hydra sounds badass. Not to mention,
Love that.
taking
See
over a
what's going on.
ship. That's gonna be fun.
Oh,
Now, of course, we usually talk about like how you'd use it in combat and stuff, but these are
Mhm.
brand new monsters. We don't know how they're going to be used in combat. People haven't had a chance to test them yet. I mean,
Yeah.
Bill's probably
Well,
tested
if
it
you're
on
at
his.
GaryCon, you're gonna get to test some Righteous Vow 4. So
Oh man,
whoever signed up for my games, get ready.
I don't think I'm in it this year.
Oh dang it!
No.
That's all right.
nobody told me what to sign up for. I just went gung
You
ho.
got in. You got in way late. You just got to be lucky and get into something at GaryCon at this point.
I'll just go find somebody and I'll pull up a chair and be like,
I
hey,
was
I'm
on
just
top
watching.
of it this year. I was
Same.
right there at 12. I was like, man, I got to get in the games.
Yeah, my tables are my calendar is booked.
Mine is too. I'm so glad that I ever
Good.
ran that brand. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, I'm not running anything. I'm playing in everything. I can't wait. And then I'm sure we've already talked to 2 people, and they're like, "Hey, it's not on the books, but would you like to play in this?" I'm like, "If I have time, why not? I'm here for 4 days just because." But yeah, we're playing in. I'm playing in Dark Space Halo with Erica, which is awesome. I know I'm playing in a couple. I think I'm playing in another Shadow Dark game. I'd have to look. But yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
So yeah. All right. So we've talked about this Balor the Sea Hydra, and then what monster are we going to talk about from Titanbound?
This is a tough one here. So the way, you know what, I'm just gonna talk about a Titan. This is gonna be one of the first times I've kind of gone in depth on a Titan.
Yeah,
These
talk about
are the
Titans.
ones. Titans are basically adventures, and that's the last thing I wanted to do was release an adventure before it had been baited to death. So that's why we've got a lot of images of the Titans, but. So we'll talk about the Forest Titan. His name is Thune, the verdant king of the first growth, Titan of renewal. Now, Thune was the father of many of the gods that exist in whatever world you're playing in. So that's how Titanbound is set up, is that just like in real-life mythologies, these Titans were the parents of the gods. So you can kind of slot them in whatever makes sense for you, or they can just be ancient creatures that kind of come up. So Thune has awoken and he has woken from underneath the ground. And when he rises, this entire forest rises, and it keeps rising and it keeps rising. He stands about 2,400 feet tall. He's covered in roots, in brambles. He's kind of like got a Cthulhu thing going on with his tree roots that hang below his mouth. And the goal that you have to do is stop him before he reaches the city that was the place where he was taken down. So he's basically going to where he died previously, and he's trying to reassert himself in the world and take back over. He, like, none of the Titans, when they wake up and start moving, are happy that the gods are still around, the gods who betrayed them. A lot of the Titans are a little groggy. Their brains are still forming. Like, when the players go to explore him, they're going to find tons of holes and ways to wiggle inside his body. His giant tree trunk legs, there's going to be hollow spots in there where they're going to climb up, and they're going to find a lot of hidden secrets, a lot of artifacts, a lot of things that have come from the past. The way Titans work is that they've got major and minor weak spots, and so they're scattered about. They're not. I'm not saying they're like glowing weak spots like in Zelda, glowing yellow. Although, okay, that's untrue. There are a few that glow here and there, but a lot of them are challenging. I think we've got some really big surprises of like charisma-based challenges and things like that as a way to weaken Titans bit by bit. Each Titan has more weak spots than than you need to take them down. So there's a lot of hopefully replayability. So people are able to explore different parts of the Titan if they want to redo Thune, for example. Now on Thune, there are many creatures that live and have inhabited bodies, and they become warped. They're called Titan spawn. So they become warped by a millennia of this influence of the Titan's aura. So I can just go through a couple of quick ones. One is the Cobrachnid, which is a mix between a tarantula or a tarantula and a cobra. That was one my son came up with that name. So
sounds terrifying.
With that. And when our artist Gio, she's this amazing Brazilian artist. That was one of the first batch that we got in like 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit longer. And I was like, it was just one of those moments. And I'm sure you've experienced this when you're getting an art. You're like, that's better than I could have imagined. I was so very pleased with it. And then we have another thing. The things that are on his body are a lot of fuses and a lot of kind of mixed things. And we also have a spider bee, and spider bees are exactly what they sound like. They spin webs and they sting you to death. They're different. They have colonies within Thune. So, in a lot of ways, they act as his protector. They have a very symbiotic relationship to him. So there's certain things you can figure out about some of these monster colonies that potentially can weaken Thune. If he, for example, loses a colony of the spider bees, or if the mother cobra is either defeated or talked out of his body. So there's a lot of different ways to bring down these Titans that are moving. Like, once you go find them, there's that timer. That's another thing from Titanbound that we wanted to, from Shadow Dark, is like, how do we do something neat with the timer mechanic? So besides going into the bodies of Titans, where it's a dark dungeon, so you still have the torch timer. You've also got a timer of like how until they reach the city, and once they reach the city, they're gonna start attacking. So that's when the pressure really, really ratchets up. And we've given the DMs a ton of tools to, if they need to stretch that time out or make it, whatever's going to be best for the players and best for the story, I think is what we've given the DMs, the GMs, the ability to do. So yeah, that's Thune, and that's I don't want to, because they are adventures, I don't want to spoil anything else.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome though that these aren't just they're not just massive monsters. They're full-blown adventures that have to be taken care of, and puzzles have to be solved. You have to venture into them. What a cool concept, the moving dungeon, right? This immediately screams like, I wish we would have met earlier, because I would have gotten you in touch with our friends down at Raven Rage, because they created a kaiju calculator, like a kaiju monster builder, which literally is like, you just roll a bunch of random dice and you build your own kaiju, now I want to start blending system. Like, take the Titanbound, we'll take the kaiju generator, and we'll slam those together and come up with some crazy monster that's 24,
Yes.
24.
Yeah, let's talk to him. Get us in touch. We'll do a crossover. Titans versus Kaiju, and like we'll have legit Kaijus and then the big Titans and everything like that.
Yeah, because you messed up the book, right, Jacob?
Yeah. We should have it in our stash of stuff because I bought the book for us to use. And like my first one I rolled up was a giant crab with laser eyes. I was like,
fantastic. I have to. This is so funny about I feel like the Shadow Dark stuff too. The impression I get from the community is like, I'm super excited that other people are doing ideas like this. Like, in no way, like, I want more giant creatures in my life. So this is great to hear.
Yeah,
sounds good. Hopefully they get Titan Bound and Righteous Vow, and then Balor is fighting your monster, right? And we get like the Godzilla versus Mothra thing going on.
Heck yeah. The other thing, like I said, is now we can maybe Balor is just the baby, baby Hydra, and then you bring
and then you
can come and destroy all your islands.
Yeah,
you can design Balor's mama for us.
That's right. Yeah. I think one of the coolest ideas that I've seen so far in Kickstarter is the one that they did between Titan Bound and Druscara, because it's like, what a cool way to make a stretch goal or a unique goal within the community that just helps another person rather than just something new to add to your own stuff. Just put a kaiju adventure in our crate, basically Godzilla and a horde of sea creatures attacking the wall. That's awesome. Wayne's another big supporter of the Misfits. We're actually going to work with him on the crate.
Wayne?
So,
hell yeah.
He's the OG at Dungeon Crate. So,
Did you know that I've known Wayne Brecky longer than I've known probably? He was a drummer in a rock band called 5 Story Fall, and I was a drummer in a bunch of rock bands when I was in high school and college, and like I used to go to his shows at the Ranch Bowl, which was here in Omaha, Nebraska, and then he would we'd hang out, and then he started doing podcast stuff, and then I've actually been to they did a quest at the castle this last year. I actually ran Righteous Vow in the castle.
Oh, that's awesome.
His
event. We talked to him. He was on here last week. And we were talking to him, and we said, "Hey, if you need extra game masters for the castle, we'd be happy to come out."
Oh, you should.
It wouldn't be the first event that I've ran and stuff like that. So won't be the last.
Come hang out with me too, James.
Heck yeah! Let's go. Co-founder of Dungeon Crate back in when it first started.
That's the other beautiful thing about this community too, because like what I was talking about, Matt Morrow, and whether you were using him for art, is because he actually drew a bunch of the art in the Shadow Dark rule book, and then Kelsey was like, "You should look up Matt. I think he's over by you." The guy lives like 2 blocks away from me, and I had no idea that he was like one of the artists. So now, like in Righteous Vow 3, he did some of the Paladin artwork in that, and and he's actually now in my home game. So he actually plays D&D in my monthly home game with me. So
that's awesome.
And now he draws.
What a weird coincidence! Like just down the street.
I have no
idea.
That becomes a crazy like explosion when you start talking to so many people around here, because I feel we're still in that niche community where it's like you don't really talk about it outside of work, like outside of the community.
Yeah.
But then when you start to find out people are around, you're like, dude, you're like 20 minutes or you're 30 minutes this way.
Well, I do, but
we're here in Southern Virginia, and I started talking to Mike from the Weather Dragon and finding out he lives less than an hour away from me. And then we started connecting the dots on like 3 other creators in the area, and we're like, holy crap, we all live within less than like an hour radius of everybody. So we do a little gig every once in a while, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, I'll see Mike at Gary Con, and Jeff, wish you were going. The rest of us are going to be there. So
literally everyone I've talked to in the past 48 hours is going to Gary Con. I am so left out right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you poked at a Shadow Dark vendor, they can be like, I can get you a badge. Like it's not
That's what
usually
you do.
I will find you there.
Here's the problem.
It is tough on the list. What's that? Sorry,
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
no, go ahead.
The problem is, Jeff, if you go to GaryCon, the first time you go, you're going to go, there's no way I can not go to this for the rest of my life every year. Because like once you go, you're just like, I just have to budget for this now because it's a must. So, but do it. Definitely
I love to hear. I've heard that from everyone who's been for sure.
Yeah.
So it's on the list. I absolutely want to go to next year. My hope was that certainly like the plan is to deliver Titanbound like this year, hopefully in the fall. So we really want to work hard to get this to people as quickly as we can. But to actually have the product out, I was like, oh, that would be really cool to actually have something. And the plan is to do a few more zines that introduce new Titans and new cities, which are kind of those are Titans our entire adventure. So I'm not saying I'm going to have 160 pages like some people in a zine, but I think they'll be a little bit.
He's like, you get your actual zine, which is like 15 pages. This is what you get.
But yeah, thanks for the Druskar thing. I was Bunny. She kind of like went first and says, I'm gonna make you a luck coin, and she looked at the art we had, and suddenly I had this like incredibly gorgeous luck coin that
she makes amazing coins, like coins and emblem pins.
I was going to give them dice, but now I got to do something special. So that was kind of how that came out of, and we had planned to launch the zine anyway. And I was like, let's do an issue 0 like a comic book, do something fun. And they were so, like I said, so kind to let me actually get in there, adapt, because they have some big cities. But again, we shared a design philosophy about making cities unbelievably unique. Like it's not just like, oh, it's a desert city. For Titanbound, it was very important to me that the cities had scale. So Thal Saran, which is I should be getting, that's going to be the first finalized map artwork. So I should be able to preview that before the end of the campaign. I think by the end of tomorrow. But anyway, awesome. It's a city carved into fossilized shells, but the shells are like a mile high. So they're the spiral. Like, remember those old ancient like dinosaur era sea creatures that have these two shells? So they stick straight up. There's 19 of them, and all the way up there's homes and there's shops and everything in them. And then about halfway up there's like a weave that connects them and everything. So it was really important to figure out how to build up in a fantasy setting for a lot of these. That Titans don't just tower over them; they're able to really get some punches in there.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to both of these books. Like I don't know. Every time I get a new Shadow Dark book, I'm like, all right, let me decide. Like, because part of me goes, do I want to digest this thing immediately and go through it, or do I want to enjoy it and like prepare and get a new adventure going? Problem is, I got enough time to run so many darn adventures. We're already running so many so many shows on here, and currently we have 0 Shadow Dark shows, which is gonna need to be solved.
To change that,
yeah, we're gonna need to solve that soon.
We're gonna have to do like the ultimate Shadow Dark show that has everything.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking of is, since Shadow Dark has a lot of hex crawl stuff, like we could literally be running multiple games in one world at the same time with no issue.
Yeah.
And which was a conversation that I had with Bunny and Zane last night, because Druskar is built that way. Like they're running 3 or 4 games. They've been doing it for 4 years straight on all 3 games, and they're not overlapping each other. They're not messing. Like they are messing with everybody's stuff, but like they're not overlapping anything. So then you get this cool cause and effect type feel of what's happening in this area might change something that's happening in this area and whatnot. And then one thing that we talked about last night was the idea that, and it's something I really hope more people get involved with, is the idea of putting in tables of things that might happen in the background if nothing's going on, because it makes the world feel alive. If you go take care of, you go save the cat out of the tree, but you're waiting on the big, but the king's, assassin is here. He's not going to wait on you to save the cat out of the tree before going and killing the king. Like there's,
Yep.
And I think that's something that we don't realize. a lot.
We did. That's another thing, Juskara. When I found, I just started reading their preview, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we were thinking along the same lines, and that's city-specific carousing, so that you can really get into it. And then I also have a table called Suddenly, without warning, and it kind of scratches that itch that you're talking about, where it's city-based or location-based. It's not just one list for the whole book. It's for like based in Thalsaran or based in another city I'm going to preview is Winterdark. And so you're going to have a lot of those tables, and I'm trying to make it so it's, again, I think for at least design wise, like the balance is making sure you're not just asking a question or setting something up, you're actually giving a GM something concrete to do, so that they don't have to like, well, what do I do with this? Like, okay, a thunderclap and then somebody screamed. What does that mean? So like that's kind of the challenge there, is to do it again, and that's fully Shadow Dark style. That's just to make sure that we're not giving a bunch of homework.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I really loved about the system is it's like all the fluff is cut out. Like immediately you're like, nope, if this does not have a purpose, it's not in the book. Like, and it makes life so much easier. At least the ones I've read. I'm sure there is Shadow Dark ones that are being written right now that somebody's writing that's like, no, I want a little bit of extra fluff, and I get it. Some people are like that. But for me, I want the clean, I want the cut. Give me what I need to take care of, and I will write the rest in my own head. Because
there will be one page of fluff only. That's
one page of fluff only.
Well, that's something that I do in every one of my books. I don't know if you've looked through 1 through 3, but for 4 it continues. Is I have a rule in there, and it says, if I can't fit the background of this adventure on 4 pages so that you know what's going on, then I haven't done my job. Everything that happens, you should know from beginning to end. Here's the story or the adventure in a nutshell, and then take that and go. So 4 pages is all you get.
That's a great philosophy.
Yeah, you need to put that in the back of the book just as a funny.
It reminds me of the early days of Twitter where you only had 54 characters or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you would have to figure out, how do I get all of the things I want to say into this very short sentence? Yeah. And I do think that was the best use of Twitter, was learning how to write concisely.
Yeah.
I think my joke though is on the front cover of every edition of Righteous Vow. It still says RPG Zine on it, even though it's 160 pages long. As I trigger everybody, and they go, "That's not a zine. Why are you calling it?" And I'm just laughing because
Righteous Vow 1 doesn't have it, does it?
It's not on the hardcovers. It's on the soft covers.
It's like, no, I get the hardcover.
Yeah, that's more. If you want the book, you have to get the hardcover.
Yeah, that's the difference. Zine is soft cover, hardcover is book.
Yep, that's the actual book. The only difference is what's on the outside. Sweet. Did we want to talk about giveaways?
So we're going to talk about giveaways, but we're going to talk it in a way that is coming up. So this weekend, we're prepping it right now. We'll bring it up. Jacob's probably somewhat aware of this because I started building this after we hit 2,500 on Instagram earlier today, which we just hit 2,000 on Instagram like less than 3 months ago, which is crazy.
Yeah, congratulations.
We were blowing, and we've been grinding for like 2.5 years to get to $2,000, and then we're already at 2,500, which blew my mind when I looked today, and I was like, holy crap, we're already here.
We've arrived.
We've arrived somewhere. I don't know where yet, but we've arrived somewhere, and it wasn't where we were. But I figured we'd do a giveaway, and I said, and we're going to put up one of our Tabletop Misfits t-shirts. But then I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to the community and see what we've got. And the first person I reached out to was Zane and Bunny, and then Bill, and then Than, because I talked to Bill and Than quite a bit over the last couple months, and doing all of the work we've been doing together with Dark Space, and more to come with that. But
that's such a cool setup.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's wonderful.
And I can't say what Than and I are working on because we're working on something on top of that. So I'm excited.
Oh, that's exciting.
By the way, your book.
Yeah.
Book is going to be at GaryCon too. Arcane Library is going to have Shadowcrawler Carnage and Maximum Monster.
Yeah, Maximum Monster Mayhem
at the booth.
That's awesome. So excited.
That's super cool.
So you can say, "Hey, go get my book."
Go get my book. Go get go get my adventure.
Arcane library book.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, you caught me off guard there for a second.
Sorry.
Because we had talked about
Very well.
earlier. You did, but I gotta now say this because otherwise I won't remember. Because ADHD is dangerous.
Oh, I
Um,
hear you.
So, when we were talking about earlier, the artwork and like blowing your mind, seeing the front page of that adventure was like, because I only
And
gave
that was
him
Matt
like,
Morrow. That was
Yeah.
Matt Morrow.
yeah,
There
it
you
was
go.
so cool. This mad scientist getting ready to inject somebody with something you don't know what it is. And it's gonna be so much fun. Anyway, so back to the giveaway. So starting this weekend, we're going to drop it up on Instagram. The goal, of course, is going to be you need to be following the people that are giving the giveaway stuff. So we need to be following Dark Space. We need to be following Torchlight Games. We need to be following Crawl Club Publishing and us. So that'll be one entry into the giveaway. The next one, of course, will be tagging 3 people, and then the final one, of course, will be sharing it with your friends. What we'll do is we'll do that for a week, and some of our giveaways are awesome. Bill is donating a signed copy of Righteous Vow 1, which is amazing. Jeff is donating this massive D20, which is awesome.
Yep. I threw it by accident, but
Threw it
yes,
by
you will get
accident.
a D20, and I'm going to throw in a signed copy as well. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. Right now
I gotta
we're
find the giant G20 quick. No.
and then
I'll send all you guys the giant D20 if I have some left over.
oh,
Heck yes.
awesome. And then Than from Dark Space is also currently they said they are donating a PDF, but after mentioning that Bill's donating a signed copy, they're like, we might have to see if we might have to spare a signed copy, so they might be doing that for us as well. So we might do more than one donation depending on how many more people get involved with this. I'm blown away, like I said. And then Than said to reach out. Arcane Libraries might donate a book as well, so we could have an entire Shadow Dark collection blow up there for the giveaway for 2,500, which is awesome. And of course, it supports all of the amazing people within our community because.
And I'll hand deliver it to you at GaryCon.
Yeah, at GaryCon. Oh, then I have to cost this, and then it's my shipping cost. Okay, I got it.
Oh,
no, that's
you wanted me to mail. Okay, that's fine too.
It don't matter either way. I wasn't sure if you were going to sign it until after we had.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
If you want me to send it, I can.
Either way,
it
don't matter. They're going to get a bunch of. Now, if everybody wants to send it all to me and I put it in a box and ship it out, it's fine.
I thought you just wanted it, so I was like gonna be like, here's some signed books.
Let's just do that, and that'll make life easier because then I'll tell Dan to do the same thing. Because then we can do a full box and have everybody's giveaway in one box and then ship it out to one person.
Perfect.
And that way it all goes to one person. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to make a new account.
What's that?
To enter. I'm gonna have to make a new account to enter.
Make a new account to enter.
I'm gonna put a mask on.
I should say the admins can't enter, but we will not do that. So because you have that opportunity to potentially help out the community as well. So yeah, that was a blowaway that I was not expecting of just how generous the community has always been, and I should know better. But it always goes above and beyond. Like I ask everybody, hey, can you donate a free PDF to the giveaway? And they're like, I can donate books. And I was like, oh, okay. So now we've got physical copies going out. And it's like, so what we might do is we might ask a bunch of the people that are giving away, or our guests that are giving away, maybe we do 3, 2, 1. So we'll do PDFs to the second and third gift, and then somebody gets all the cool actual books, because a full bookshelf is pretty much what you're receiving between Dark Space, Righteous Vow, Titan Bound, and potentially others, which is awesome.
Good contest.
Good. It's a good contest. I love it. And then, of course, once we hit 5,000, we'll have to do it again. I don't know what we'll do for 5,000, but we'll do more for 5,000. But yeah. If you have questions in the audience, this is the time to ask. We've already blown past the happy hour. The monsters have been talked about. We have explored the monsters. Like I said, Raven Ridge Emporium does a couple cool TTRPGs. I don't think they have D&D specific. I think a lot of their stuff is agnostic or has their own system. But
Yeah.
you can definitely get some of them to use just as ideas. Some of them are just really good ways to get your ideas flowing. They did a solo role play game about map making and discovery. So if you ever have issues trying to build your own maps, they have a game completely built for that, which is really cool as well. So
Nice.
yeah, all sorts of stuff.
I'll tell you what, I've been having so much fun with Incarnate 2, 2.0. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, are you messing with the battlegrounds, or are you just messing with the world maps, or
All of it.
everything?
All of it together.
Yeah.
They added it's more like working with Photoshop or InDesign. Like there's layers in it now. So instead of just having like 3 sort of layers, it's got like actual layers that are kind of more like your editors like Photoshop, where you can just stack
stack things and whatnot. Yeah,
it makes it a lot easier to make things the way you want them.
Yeah,
you can mask things
no,
out.
Incarnate's awesome. I guess it's a question I have for both of you. Other than Incarnate, is there who do you go to for your maps? Like
my artists.
I
pay them to draw them.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
definitely the same way. So the Titans are actually very much like a hex crawl or a point crawls, but we're calling them a point climb.
Okay.
So there's different nodes, and instead of as you go from place, so the Titan itself, the body of it is kind of got like one of those Leonardo da Vinci style schematics of a Titan, so that actually in the map folio that we're offering, one side is for the players to see, so they can kind of just strategize and see what's around. Like, oh, that is the tail swinging, so maybe I can jump from the hip to the tail or something like that. And the other side has the actual routes that are out. We do have rules so that people want to go off route. They just want to go crazy and players are going to break the game, and that is what we are hoping happens. But in general, it's the climbs don't necessarily work the same way as going room to room in a point crawl. It's instead of just a random encounter table, you have to do a climb check, and that's where the new kind of climbing rules come into it. So on a failure on a climb check, if you don't fail too bad, that weighs against you on how the Titan's going to react.
Oh, I got you. Nice.
Anyway, sorry, I totally got off subject. For the interior maps, it's the same thing. So right now, I'm relying on my artists, because once you go in the Titans, it's more traditional maps. And then that's good to know about Incarnate, because I've really wanted to have a little bit more be more active in developing those. So I'm going to try that out.
Yeah, definitely give it a go. I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, originally I was using Dungeon Draft and Wonder Draft in the early ones, but it just feels like they kind of gave up on the software, and it's really buggy and would crash all the time. So Incarnate kind of just became my go-to. And I've built a lot of really excellent maps in it, and I really love it. I would recommend it highly. Great. But I it's nothing compared to what my artists can do. So, I wish I could just pay them all the time, but just the ship layouts. Dwayne Rogers is making those. We've got a sloop in there. We've got a multi-deck galleon, and we've got a brigantine, and then we've got rules from everything from a raft all the way up to a frigate. So you're just going to be able to do anything you want. It's going to be beautiful. So I'm excited.
So the entire each island's an adventure is the idea. Do you end up going from island to island?
Yes.
And in the game, and but so you kind of get a choice of what you're going to do.
Yeah. So there's an overarching story that includes all the islands, but you can throw that out the window if you want to. It even says so, like at the beginning of the book, it's like you can either follow this adventure or you can go off and just explore if you want to. Yeah. But there are goals on each island for you to accomplish to reach the conclusion of the adventure. So that's one of the things. After the first 3 volumes of Righteous Vow, I went and I watched the YouTube series Joseph R. Lewis. I don't know if you've watched his YouTube videos, but the guy is brilliant. He's actually the writer of the first official Shadow Dark adventure, which is being premiered at GaryCon I'm trying to remember the name of it because I'm
Is it
trying to
the
it.
is
What
it
is
the
it?
Scarlet? Is it the Scarlet Minotaur or whatever?
No, that's the quick start adventure.
Oh, okay.
That's the free adventure, and that's a wonderful adventure that Kelsey wrote. But that's like the entry point. But there
That's
is a
my
new
entry,
adventure.
first thing I ever played.
Yeah. But yeah, the Joseph R. Lewis, he did these series of videos that are like, okay, here's how you write an adventure, and here's what you should do, and here's what you shouldn't do. And I'm going through these videos, and I'm like, oh my god, I did that, I suck. Oh my god, I did that, I suck. Oh my god, you know. And now that I've watched that, I'm like, oh man, I need to go rewrite all my adventures. But I'm not.
It's so funny. I followed a lot of RPG editors on like Blue Sky and other media, and it is. I love that they give advice all the time, and I love it when the advice conflicts, and then when the advice conflicts with what you're actually like. You're like, sometimes you get advice, you're like, that is good advice, but I'm actually trying to accomplish the opposite of what you're saying.
Yeah,
you know. So it's
it's all opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, it's like, and I'm curious how you deal with this. Is how far do you push the Shadow Dark system? Like when you're designing, have you gotten to a point where you're like, I've got to bend this a little bit to do what I want to do?
All the time. I do all the time. And I think that's kind of the wonderful thing about it. And I think it's why Kelsey, when she approached me, said, you know, she said, I love that yours has your own flavor. That's your, like Titanbound is going to be your flavor of Shadow Dark. And it's not exactly Shadow Dark, but you can tell it's Shadow Dark because it's got all that nuance that Shadow Dark oozes. You know, it's got all those little details that are there, but you've also got your own artists, you got your own layout. It's going to be you know, and I think that the beautiful thing about the third party license is just how it's all going to kind of rubber band. You can stretch away from it, but it's going to be Shadow Dark at the end of the day. And I think people are going to embrace it as that, as long as you don't, you know, stop using torch timers or something, you know. But and even then, like, I mean, there's times when you're outside and it's daytime, so get off my back, right? So,
it's funny because Jaskara and we have I don't know how similar they are. I actually didn't really want to read their characters too closely because they have so many classes. But they have one called Rooted, I think, and he was talking about the development of it. And it's like, well, we wanted to make it kind of like a monk, but you know, of course, in Shadow Dark, you know, you only need to roll once. So like, we figured out how he can make multi-attack at the same time. I was like, that's a good solve for that. I did not do that. I made a free runner, which is basically a parkour expert, and he gets into the fray and he is able to make multiple attacks. It's just kind of what he's doing. They're stacking, so he's got to succeed. And he can push his luck because the idea is if he hits on one, he can take an action. So he can move away. Free runners are not allowed to wear armor, so their AC is pretty low. So he can get to safety, or he can make another attack, and it's kind of that pressure luck. And I figured out that a lot of the classes, in my mind, I didn't realize this literally until today, but a lot of my classes do feature kind of I don't know if it's all like, if I call it all pressure luck, but a lot of it is they do seem a little bit more powerful on the surface, but if you look at to the punishments I'm giving them, like for example, I have a spell reaver where he overclocks, so he gets a little bit more advanced spells earlier, but so you're at a lower level with less of a bonus, and you're trying to do higher level spells. If he fails 2 spells per day, he drops to 0 hit points. So you have that, you've got the ability to do something cool. And, you know, I'm not saying he's dead. He can be revived. You know, but I used to have him drop dead. But I got talked out of that. But it's definitely, it puts a limit on it. So he can act like a normal wizard and maybe use something harder in special occasions, and he's going to fail about the same. Or he can go hard and do it. And then as a role-playing aspect, I have him, every level you age him 1d6 years because he's, you know, using magic beyond what he can do.
That's awesome.
They're like that, where I'm trying to like, if I want to do something really cool that I know may seem powerful, I really try to look for a way to nerf it a little bit on the other end to make sure consequences.
Yeah.
It's that class canon mentality. Like, oh no, you can try to cast something that's super over your level, but
that's kind of like the same thing that, and I think that the beautiful thing about putting classes into like an adventure for Titanbound, those are your classes for your adventure. it's kind of the same thing. Like you said, you like Righteous Vow too. I have 2 classes in there, and I even say to people, these are beautiful for this adventure. You don't have to use them outside of this adventure, but it's thematic for this adventure, right?
Right.
Whereas in Righteous Vow 4, there are 4 new classes. There's a Buccaneer class, where you get a background, which is crew abilities. So instead of picking a background, you can be a quartermaster or
That's cool.
a master gunner or a shipwright, or a chef, or a cook rather, or a surgeon, or any of these jobs on the ship. And then I have NPCs written in to where the ship will still function because you have these NPCs that fill those jobs. But if you have the player playing that class, you just remove the NPC, throw them in that spot on the ship, and then they get to perform that job on the ship.
Oh, nice.
The Buccaneer class is going to be in there. I also, just because I've always wanted to do this, and it's the best way I thought, because I'm a sword and sorcery guy at heart, right? I love my sword and sorcery to stay sword and sorcery. I'm completely not doing that when you introduce black powder weapons into, Shadowdark. And we've got granados, stink pots, muskets, flintlock pistols. And, we've even got stats for abrasive pistols, where they used to put a sash around them with multiple pistols. You could fire multiple times and then reload later, but black powder for a lot of people is going to be like, oh man, how are you getting black powder in your world? Isn't that going to be everywhere now that it's invented? And how I did that was, we have a Aeromancer class, we have a Hydromancer class, and we have a Pyromancer class. Excellent. And the Pyromancer is the only person that can make black powder, because you need charcoal, sulfur, and saltpeter. And saltpeter, they haven't figured that out in this world. The only person that can make that is a pyromancer. So pyromancers are highly sought after by the merchant guilds, and these merchant ships will go out and find these kids at a young age and say, oh, they're a pyromancer, we want them on our ship because they're going to make the black powder for our cannons. So you have to go and search out a pyromancer and pay them for black powder in order to have your muskets actually fire. So, and that's why they're only in this section of the world and not all over the world.
Yeah. But now we have cannons to take care of the Titans.
Heck yeah.
Well, that's part of the rallying. I can't remember so one of the things you can do instead of carousing is rally to increase Titan defenses around it.
Oh, nice.
And what you talked about is absolutely, it's so interesting to me because I feel like we're all in the third party community, kind of doing the thing where we'd certainly I want my classes to be used. I would love for them to be used in other things like Western region, anywhere, because that means somebody really liked it, right? But I also want to make sure that they're pretty useful. And on the other hand, I don't want people to feel like they can't bring in their thief and fighter, into Titanbound, and so the way I try, we worked really hard to mitigate that, including because I have a lot of weapons. You actually may have boarding axes in yours as well because they're both. But I have a lot of things that help climb.
And boarding.
I do too. I have a dragoon class that does a lot of jumpy stuff. So it's one of those things where climb weapons have. So if people come in, I say, you know what, for a certain amount of gold, you can make your weapon barbed, which gives it a +1 climb, that sort of thing. So that you can adapt. There's not much adaptation going on. It really is just bringing the class in and making sure that a party of the 4 core characters from the first Shadowdark, a party of those 4 could beat a Titan, and that was a big goal too.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to remember his name on the forum. It's kind of funny because we've all done it. If you're a creator and you create classes, the first thing you do is you go on the Arcane Library Discord and you say, hey, when can I get mine put into Shadow Darklings? And then it's like, reset the clock, right? Because you're the 4,000th creator to ask that. And it's like, the only reason that Dungeon Damsels are in there is because they were grandfathered in, and it's got to be that same exact message. We all
Dungeons
wish.
and Dragons was early on, man. I am impressed with their sense of timing.
Oh yeah, they got. I think they were the first. So
Yeah, for Unnatural Selection, I think they were the first.
And it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
yeah,
I miss. It's funny. I missed them. I had to get them both. I like from their web store, that and Western or the very first Shadow Dark. I'm just grateful that my GM introduced me to it. It was such a great surprise. He had been reading. He'd been super into the OSR movement and like in that for a while. And so for me, it's just this is the system I want to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that's how I am. We've been running an ongoing game in Icewind Dale for almost 2 years now, and it's the only Dungeons and Dragons I play anymore. Everything else is different systems. We're running 6 different systems on the channel right now over the next year. Every time we talk about Shadow Dark, it just gets me more edged to go to start a new show, and I'm trying not to because my coworkers or my co-hosts are going to yell at me and say we can't run anything else.
Whoa! Don't put that on me.
Where's Chuck when I need him?
We have a joke that because I'm the crazy one in the group that does that. I'm like, James, could we do this? And he goes, I got to pull a Chuck and tell you no. What? Let's revisit it.
Yeah, it's not a no. It's not going to happen. It's a no. We can't pull that off right now. Yeah. Now, if somebody wants to fund our projects and we can do this full time and I can work from home, more than happy I would do this. But right now, that's just not in the passion project. So
I feel like we're getting there.
We're
2,500.
It'll be between writing and production and things like that, and my goal is to hopefully pick Bill's brain a little bit more on video editing and pick some of your brain on production value. And if we can ramp this up, especially in the Shadow Dark world, I'm so down. I will write stories all day long if I can and I'm allowed to. But
I love that.
Right now we can't. So the way you can support us is to go and follow and do all those cool things. And I just thought about something, and I know I don't want to do this. I don't want to hold off too long on the giveaway, but we might lengthen the giveaway to 2 weeks instead of 1. That gives us a chance to get back from GaryCon. And maybe I can put something cool together where at the end we can do the giveaway live on stream with our sponsors. So if everybody and we'll do a big Shadow Dark DM roundtable, the Shadow Dark roundtable. It's kind of like our Christmas special. Yep. And we'll do that with the giveaway. So if you two are interested, that at least gives me 2 people ready to go.
For sure.
I'm there, man.
So I'll let you guys know the exact dates. And I'll get a hold of Than. Maybe we can get a chance to talk to Kelsey at GaryCon. I know she wants to come on the channel. I met her at Page, and she's super psyched to come on the channel. She just wants to get Western Marches done first. And I don't blame her. She's like,
Western Reaches.
Western Reaches, my bad.
Yeah, small distraction. I want that book too.
Yeah, I kickstarted that one. That was my journey into Shadow Dark Kickstarters.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
That was my first official one.
I think it's over 3 million now. That's so awesome.
It's so awesome.
Every time I look at that and I look at the number of people that have backed that, I'm like, oh, that's like 800,000 people that don't have my book yet.
There you go. Opportunities right there, baby.
Couldn't agree more. There's I know they did really, really well at retail, and they've had a lot of aftermarket sales of the Shadow Dark Basic, just from what I've heard word of mouth. And I think the potential is there. This feels like this is not. It's still a little bit underground, maybe a niche, but I feel like it's such a positive, has such positive growth.
Absolutely.
A few people asked early on, oh, why are you doing Shadow Dark as opposed to 5e? And I was like, well, many reasons beyond just me not wanting to do it, but I felt like when we started kind of developing, I started really putting pen to paper about a year ago, that it was this. This was before Western Reaches, months before Western Reaches. Even I was just I feel like this is something special, and that's kind of why I dedicated a ton of time to it. And when Western Reaches came out, I did not say I told you so to anybody, but I was certainly very, very pleased, very happy, very grateful that I was right. That people really like the setting and really like the rules.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, it's time for us to close down the tavern tonight. It's been so fun to talk to both of you. I'm so glad that you got to join us, Jeff, on this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's so great to be here.
Let's definitely talk after, Jeff. I
would love to. I'd love to hear about your video editing.
We got to talk.
Yeah, we're going to talk.
I'll message you over on Kickstarter now that I'm a backer.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So what we'll do then is we'll get everybody connected and everything whatsoever. But keep an eye out for the gifts, the giveaways that we're going to be running on Instagram, as well as keep an eye on all the socials as we drop shows next week. I believe Candela drops again next week. So we're Power Rangers, one of the two. It's a busy month, and it's not going to slow down. Get ready because we got shows on the way, and we have another guest coming in right before we leave for Gary Con. I think Sam is going to be the one hosting that one. Sam Rusk, who is a tattoo artist and incredible. She also created the book Sync, which is all about pirates and magical tattoos in 5e. So we'll have them on here next week while everybody else is sitting at Gary Con. You can see Jacob, myself, Bill, and Sam when he arrives on Thursday there, where we can play games, roll dice, and have a drink or two. Anyway, this is Last Call. We'll see you guys over on Tavern Talks next week. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Have a great night.